Shakespeare is completely fascinated by rulers and what happens to them under crisis, what happens to them in the case of Lear when they reach a point in their lives when their mental faculties are not what they used to be. In the case of Lear, I think the interest is more personal, and he ties the whole question of what happens to a ruler at that stage in his life into a very intense and very modern feeling family drama about this dysfunctional family of the father, the autocratic, rather old father, the absent wife, mother, who has clearly died, and the 3 daughters, no sons. Shakespeare's just very, very interested in that. I think at the end of the play, Lear has a sort of partial self-awareness. He sees that man is just a bare forked animal. He sees that we have nothing but ourselves and our own humanity. But the other more destructive parts of his personality are still there. His problems are really unresolved because they're foreshortened by a tragic climax, by death. So it's this tantalizing thing just to see he's reconciled with Cordelia for a few moments and then the light goes out again, the window closes. He has awareness and then he closes down again. He's a man who's boastful, arrogant, autocratic, and he never completes the therapy because fate doesn't allow him to. And the play ends on a note of, it would seem, despair. Only 2 characters in the play are left alive, with the task perhaps of rebuilding the society that has collapsed, and who knows what kind of job they're going to make of it. Now, this should make for a bad evening in the theatre, in a sense. It's extremely cruel, but like all great tragedies, it hits so many of targets in our own lives that it's like feeling good after you listen to the blues. It's something which is enormously curative and restorative as a play for an audience to see. The question of my playing Lear has come up a few times before, and I've personally, in that funny instinctive way that actors have felt I was ready to do it, I think only for the last 5 or 6 years. There then comes the question of doing it as soon as you can, because you have to do it at a point in your career when you're physically strong enough to do it, because it is very demanding physically as well as emotionally, but also at a time when you can convincingly pass as that age and that frailty. Sometimes it's a very narrow window. Sometimes people play it young in order to be sure of having played it. Sometimes people leave it too long and then the performance doesn't quite work. So I'm really hoping for the best. I'd love to play it in England one day. There have been a lot of Lears in England, mostly on the young side lately. And I had the great good fortune to fall in through, as always, serendipity in our profession with Jeffrey Horowitz, Theatre for a New Audience, and Peter Brook, whom I was working with at the time in 2010 on a show called Love Is My Sin, about Shakespeare's sonnets. And at the party on the first night, after the first performance, I noticed a young woman talking to a group of clearly actors about Shakespeare. I went and eavesdropped on her. I saw her across a crowded room, you might say. And I said to Jeffrey, who is that? Who is that woman? And Jeffrey said, that's Aaron Arbus, who is this wonderful Shakespearean director who works with us a great deal, and those are some of his regular actors. I said, I want to meet her. Can I have a date? And we made a date for brunch, Aaron and I, and had a wonderful time. So just brainstorming Shakespeare, not talking about any particular project, but I saw that for all the difference in age, I had a kindred spirit. Her take on Shakespeare was, it's not a matter of spectacle, it's not a matter of visual effects, production values, it's a matter of the text, which is always very refreshing. I like very much her attitude to the female characters in The Taming of the Shrew we talked about, and I think Much Ado as well, and also Othello, which were quite unusual and very much informed by her own, I hesitate to say feminism, but by her gender. And they were very refreshing. I thought I'd heard every theory about Shakespeare and every idea about him, but Aaron's perception was that there was no such thing as good or bad in this play or any play of this greatness. You have to look at each character 360 degrees round, each and every one of them. Look at the whole play from Goneril's point of view and you see something quite different from Lear's point of view. And that's, of course, what drama is made of, an argument between characters. But Aaron's great gift, or one of her great gifts, I think, is to not shortchange any character or judge them or to label them as good or bad.